Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Now the main headlines. Taliban's morality police expel Hazara vendors and hand over marketplace to Pashtuns in the Jaghori district. Poverty in Lebanon soars amid ongoing economic crisis. Urgent calls for an international action to prevent potential Rohingya bloodbath in Myanmar. And in less than 10 days, Saudi authorities execute another political detainee from the Qatif. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Yunus Dawood and you're watching Shia Waves live from London, only on Imam Hussein TV 3. According to residents of the Jaghori district in Ghazni province, the Taliban's morality police have expelled at least 50 Hazara street vendors from the Sangay Masha Bazaar and handed it over to Pashtuns from the neighbouring districts. The morality police are accused of forcefully evicting the Hazara vendors despite the land being privately owned. It cited locals that saying that this is part of the Taliban's broader interference in personal and collective livelihoods as well as the government affairs in the district. The morality police have reportedly threatened vendors and even the mayor when they tried to intervene. The source mentioned that the incident has sparked outrage among the Hazara community in Jaghori and who are now facing an uncertain future after losing their livelihoods. Lebanon's poverty rate has more than tripled over the past decade, with over 44% of the population now living below the poverty line. The bank's report released on Thursday was carried out in 5 of the country's 8 governments, showing that poverty rose from 12% in 2012 to 44% in 2022, with stark differences between different areas of the country. According to the report, while poverty declined from 4% to 2% in the capital Beirut, the impoverished northern Akkar region saw a dramatic rise from 22% to 62%. The crisis has also exacerbated the divide between Lebanese citizens and the country's large Syrian refugee population. In 2022, the poverty rate stood at 33% among Lebanese, but reached a staggering 87% for Syrian residents. While an IMF bailout is seen as crucial to Lebanon's recovery, the government has made limited progress on the reforms required to secure the deal. A United Nations expert has issued a dire warning that thousands of innocent lives will be lost unless the international community responds swiftly to the ominous signs of another potential Rohingya massacre unfolding in Myanmar's Rakhine state. Relief Web reported yesterday that more details in the following report.
Thousands of innocent lives will be lost if the international community fails to respond to ominous signs of another Rohingya bloodbath in Rakhine state, a UN expert announced yesterday. Tom Andrews, the UN Special Rapporteur on the human rights situation in Myanmar, reported that despite an internet shutdown in northern Rakhine, alarming and credible accounts are emerging of killings, enforced disappearances, and widespread arson. The expert urged the establishment of mechanisms to provide emergency aid and appealed to the Bangladeshi government to reverse its closed border policy, as large groups of Rohingya are being forcibly displaced towards the border. However, he warned that Bangladesh lacks the capacity to address this crisis without substantial international support. The deepest situation in Myanmar has for years forced thousands of Rohingya Muslims to flee to neighbouring countries, including Indonesia. The recent arrival of approximately 50 Rohingya refugees, mainly women and children, in Indonesia's North Sumatra province marks the latest wave of this persecuted minority seeking sanctuary. According to the UN Refugee Agency, over 2,300 Rohingya arrived in Indonesia last year, more than the combined total from the previous 4 years. Reporting Arush Fasma for Shia Waves.
Let us remind our respective viewers of today's headlines. Taliban's morality police expel Hazara vendors and hand over marketplace to the Pashtuns in Jaghori district. Poverty in Lebanon soars amid ongoing economic crisis. And urgent call for international action to prevent potential Rohingya bloodbath in Myanmar. Also tonight, the UNICEF warns of catastrophic situation for children in the Gaza district amid blocked aid. The Saudi regime announced last Tuesday, the 21st of May 2024, the execution of the political detainee Mohammed al-Jawhar from the Qatif region. Media sources reported that detainee Al-Jawhar was executed after being charged with terrorism-related offences, including accusations of joining a terrorist organisation and participating in terrorist acts, targeting security forces and police stations. This execution comes less than 10 days after another detainee from Qatif, the young man Hassan bin Hamad al-Nasr, was executed, bringing the total number of executions carried out by the Saudi authorities since the beginning of 2024 to 70. According to sources, the statement from the Saudi Ministry of Interior did not specify the type of sentence, but is likely to be one of the punitive sentences that the regime imposes, including the death penalty. And now we'll continue with some shorter news. A severe drought exacerbated by the El Nino weather pattern has left millions food insecure in southern Africa, warns World Food Programme, or the WFP, Executive Director Cindy McCain. During a recent visit to Zambia, the epicenter of the crisis, McCain described the situation as both alarming and heartbreaking. The droughts have decimated harvests in areas where 70% of the population relies on agriculture, leaving farmers unable to feed their families and communities. Zambia, Zimbabwe and Malawi have all declared states of drought and disaster, with 40 to 80% of their maize crops destroyed. To address the crisis, Southern African leaders have launched a $5.5 billion humanitarian appeal. However, the WFP still requires $409 million over the next 6 months to assist 4.8 million people. As India grapples with a severe heat wave, many regions are experiencing frequent power outages due to soaring electricity demand. A recent survey found out that 38% of households are facing daily blackouts, with some enduring up to 12 hours of disruptions, the source mentioned. The Indian Meteorological Department warned that heat wave to severe heat wave conditions are likely to persist in northwest India over the next 5 days, with temperatures reaching as high as 48 degrees Celsius or 118.4 degrees Fahrenheit in some areas. The crisis has impacted daily life, prompting school closures. Authorities are scrambling to address the power supply challenges, as Delhi recorded an all-time high electricity demand of 8,000 megawatts. Alongside the blackouts, several regions are also grappling with severe water shortages, underscoring the widespread impact of the heatwave. The security media cell in Iraq announced last Wednesday the killing of 2 terrorists, one of them wearing an explosive belt in the southern area of Rutbah. The cell said, as reported by Shia Waves agency, that the Intelligence and Counterterrorism Department of Anbar province gathered important information about the presence of terrorist members in the area. The cell added that the operation resulted in the killing of 2 terrorists, one of them wearing an explosive belt south of Rutbah, in addition to the martyrdom of a soldier and the injury of another during this operation. In a related context, the Baghdad Operations Command announced the arrest of a terrorist affiliated with ISIS who confessed to killing a member of the security forces in the capital Baghdad. Followers of the Shia faith in Afghanistan have criticized Taliban's ban on the entry of Ja'fari jurisprudence books into the country and the collection of such books from the state and private university libraries. According to them, access to religious information is the right of every citizen, and the Taliban restrictions on the entry of Ja'fari jurisprudence books into the country and the prohibition of teaching the jurisprudence of this faith in universities disrespect religious freedom. Shia scholars interpret citizens' criticism of the Taliban's discriminatory actions as valid and express hope that the Taliban will bring about changes in their domestic policies and respect all religions. Residents of Dashtir Barchi area of Kabul told media outlets that with their biased beliefs, the Taliban exert pressure on the Hazara and Shia communities in every possible way. Prohibiting the teaching of Ja'fari jurisprudence in state and private universities is oppression and disrespect for people's religious freedom. One of the directors of Shia complexes in Kabul also told that local media that the circulation of information, whether religious or non-religious, should be free among people and readers should have access to it. Religious books should not be suppressed. People should read, see, and ultimately the reader will decide to choose among diverse information. In a groundbreaking study, scientists have proposed a new theory on the origins of the sun's magnetic field, a phenomenon that has puzzled astronomers since Galileo first observed sunspots in the early 1600s. Contrary to previous beliefs that the magnetic fields originated deep within the sun, researchers now suggest it forms much closer to the surface. According to the study published in the journal Nature, the model, which could significantly enhance the understanding of the 11-year solar cycle and space weather forecasting, persists, and the magnetic field is generated about 20,000 miles or 32,000 kilometers below the sun's surface. UNICEF has issued a grave warning on Thursday about the dire conditions facing children in the Gaza Strip. Executive Director Catherine Russell stated that children in Gaza are at an ever-growing risk of dying from malnutrition and dehydration due to blocked aid routes and intensified military operations, the news agency added. It's also mentioned that the only pediatric hospital in northern Gaza capable of providing nutrition services has been paralyzed, leaving vulnerable children without access to critical care. UNICEF has stressed that severe acute malnutrition can result in irreversible cognitive and psychological and physical damage in young children, emphasizing that no child should die from starvation. The situation in Gaza has deteriorated rapidly since Israel launched a ground offensive in the city of Rafah on May the 6th. Over 1.5 million Palestinians have sought refuge in Rafah, with the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees estimated that more than 800,000 people have fled the city since the start of the assault. In the midst of the ongoing hostilities, vast swathes of Gaza lie in ruins, with a crippling blockade cutting off access to food, clean water and medicine. The International Court of Justice has ordered Israel to ensure its forces to not commit acts of genocide and to take measures to guarantee humanitarian assistance reaches civilians in the Gaza Strip. We have reached the end of today's Shia Waves show. Let's round our day views of today's headlines. Taliban's morality police expel Hazara vendors and hand over marketplace to Pashtuns in the Jaghori district. Poverty in Lebanon soars amid ongoing economic crisis. Urgent call for international action to prevent potential Rohingya bloodbath in Myanmar. In less than 10 days, Saudi authorities execute another political detainee from Qatif. And UNICEF warns of catastrophic situation for children in Gaza amid blocked aid. You can view the latest news on Shia Waves website, and you can send news of your city or country to be published on our news agency. Contact us at the numbers at the bottom of your screen. Thank you all for watching, and we pray to Allah the Almighty to hasten the reappearance of the Master of our time. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Allahumma ma'bud, O Allah, Khuda, Khudaya. Allahumma adkhil ala